Content is intended to provide accurate information, however, is not intended as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult a financial, legal, or tax professional for specific information regarding your individual situation. Opinions expressed and provided are for general informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security.
Welcome to Game Plan for Retirement with Chris Mcintire. Mcintire Retirement Services, Northwest Ohio's retirement planning resource.
And welcome into the program. This is your game plan for retirement with Northwestern Ohio's resource for that common sense approach to planning, helping to clarify and uncomplicate the financial world. Chris Mcintire, president, founder of Mcintire Retirement Services, here to provide us some insight and guidance on what we need to be doing if we are envisioning retiring a little early, and how to avoid some costly financial mistakes. We'll talk about those things today on the program. But Chris, I hope you are doing well and gearing up for the Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, we certainly are, Peter, going out of town for the holiday to the Finger Lakes region of New York, actually. So that'll be a good time with some family and kind of foregoing some of the Christmas presents to make some memories. And so just something we decided to do this year. But I think today's show's an interesting topic, retiring early. So I think we probably have everybody's attention this morning.
Absolutely. With the pandemic and COVID and all of that, Chris, I think a lot of people changed their retirement timelines. Some, unfortunately, because they had to, it was not a choice, but a lot of people have really enjoyed the extra time at home, a little time away from the office, sat back, reflected on quality of life and thought, hey, maybe this retirement thing has something to it. Let's see if we can do it early. So we'll talk about a few tips if you are planning on retiring early, or you would like to think that you may do that in the future. Some ways to get you there a little quicker and sooner. As always, no matter what your timeline is, where you are in your financial progress, Chris Mcintire is here as a resource for you, ladies and gentlemen. And all you need to do, if you've got questions, concerns, you would like a plan, a portfolio, investment and retirement review, is pick up the phone and give Chris a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. So Chris, I would take it to be true that if we are planning on retiring early, first we need to define what early is. And if it's before 59 and a half, that traditional retirement account access age, then we probably need to be looking at some alternative ways of saving.
You're absolutely right, Peter. And, there are some exceptions, like everything in life, especially in investment strategies, retirement strategies, to being age 59 and a half. But, normally we tell folks, look, you need to have some cash cushion to help you kind of bridge the gap until you hit that 59 and a half. And I have a potential client right now that is about 6 months from being 59 and a half, and he has retired. And but he is now aware, after talking with us, that in his 401k, now that he is separated from employment and he's over age 55, he can actually make a withdrawal from his 401k and not be penalized for that early withdrawal like you would on an IRA. So again, he has a 401k, he's done working, not contributing to it anymore. He's not 59 and a half, but he's over the age of 55. He can access those funds if he needs to.
So some special rules there that do apply, though. I imagine that's one of those things that it can be done, but you don't want to mess it up. You want to make sure you're following all those rules. And Chris, just to clarify, there's a difference between the pre-retirement age penalty and then the taxes. Taxes are going to withstand the test of time no matter what age we are. We're going to have to pay taxes on those distributions, correct?
That is correct. Yep. If it's the traditional pre-tax 401k, pre-tax IRA, when you make withdrawals, you're going to pay ordinary income tax at whatever tax bracket you are in. And, we help a lot of people, determine how much tax withholding they should have, because, they've, when they're doing payroll, they're used to having taxes withheld from that. They retire, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, I don't know how much I have to have withheld for my withdrawals. And so we help them. And again, a lot of times it's an approximate, and typically you err on the side of taking out too much versus not taking out enough.
What about the different types of accounts, Chris? I'm sure that they can help us to retire early if we understand them. And I would imagine that most of our listeners do understand just regular non-qualified investment versus retirement investment accounts. There's the 401ks, the IRAs, and then you can invest money without qualifying for retirement. And then there's the Roth. But understanding the difference of those things and how to place money in each one is going to be important if we've got especially early retirement goals, but really any kind of retirement goals.
Correct, Peter. And, a lot of folks may have a joint investment account that, a husband and wife said, well, we got extra money. We don't want to put it in our retirement accounts. We're just going to keep it out here in case we need it. That'd be like a joint brokerage account. My wife and I have one of those in addition to all of our investment pieces. And then you don't have to worry about being 59 and a half. It's like taking money out of your savings account. You can do that whenever you want if it's a non-qualified account. And, a lot, the other piece here that's probably important, Peter, is, for folks that are going to retire and roll over a 401k into an IRA, they may have after-tax contributions in there because they overfunded it. So they had non-deductible contributions in their 401k. So let's say it was $500,000 and 450,000 of that was pre-tax and the growth. That goes into the IRA, and then they've got $50,000 of after-tax contributions, all the earnings rolled over into the IRA. So they actually may have some more flexibility than they're aware of.
Well, you need to think about these things early, especially if you're planning on retiring early. But of course, being proactive and thinking things through well ahead of time is going to be beneficial no matter what age you intend to retire. And Chris Mcintire can help you sort through all of that, can help you structure the plan based on your goals and your timeline. Give a call, 800-868-1194 for that complimentary planning review and strategy session, 800-868-1194. So some basic steps, Chris, in thinking things through and probably the conversations that you have regardless of when your clients intend to retire is determining the type of lifestyle they envision for retirement and beginning to create that spending plan and the mock budget as early as possible.
Yeah, Peter, that's a good thought there. A lot of times folks are going to want to spend money early in retirement because they've been saving, they're healthy, they want to do some more traveling. So sometimes these plans are front end loaded, if you will. We're going to be spending money early and, we're not really worried about leaving money for the kids at this point in life. We want to take care of ourselves. So sometimes we do when we build our retirement plans is, front end load some of the expenses coming out of that. And then later in life, they might be like my parents. They don't go south anymore or anything. And, so they're pretty much more of a sedentary lifestyle, if you will. Not to say that my dad doesn't play golf a lot, but not the travel that they once did, of course.
But people have things that are on their mind they'd like to do, especially the first several years of retirement. They're excited and exuberant about it, and they like to take those trips, tend to spend a little bit more money, especially if we don't have those guardrails of a written spending plan in place. And Chris, the spending plan not limiting, that's not the point of it. It's supposed to give people freedom to spend within the plan.
Absolutely. And, you have to run your scenarios based off of some assumptions, what kind of returns are we going to get off the market? I like to do mine at a very conservative rate. And if their plan works at a 5% investment rate, great. It'll work even better at a 7 or an 8%, depending what their average is. But I would caution the listeners today to not forecast your retirement plan off the last several years of the stock market. It's highly unlikely that the government's going to continue to spend trillions and trillions of dollars and hand out money for free to everybody to get through another financial crisis. At some point, we have to get off all of this government assistance because inflation is skyrocketing, the dollar's getting weaker, that type of thing. So, we always say tone down your expectations and if it works with that tone down effect, it'll work even better if it ends up being, and more enhanced.
A good point, Chris. And I think there's a lot of nervousness and concern and apprehension about where the market is right now and where it may go into the future. If our retirement lifestyle is based on assets invested in the market, that may lead to even less financial security and stability and confidence in retirement. Now, as you said, the market's been great. It's been fantastic, and we certainly appreciate that. But moving into the future, if we've got in our mind that we are retiring and beginning to live off of those assets, maybe a review and evaluation of how we are positioned and the amount of market or risk exposure we have would be appropriate.
Yeah. And like even for us on previous forecasts that we have done or in our software programs for current clients that are in that program, there is adjusting the rate of inflation right now. And boy, what an impact that has over the course of time. So let's hope for everyone's sake here in America and even around the globe that inflation is what they call transitory, so that as the supply chain fixes itself into 2022, that we, this sharp increases in gas prices, fuel prices, food prices certainly gets back to a more normal expectation.
Chris, do you ever have conversations with people that do want to retire, and in evaluating kind of assets and income sources, there's a conversation that it is possible, but maybe that there is a need for a change in lifestyle?
Oh, absolutely. That's our job. We have to tell them what's really going on. And, not everybody has all that wiggle room that other people may have, because of a lack of a pension. So they're more reliant on their investment income. And, some people, tend to, not always stick to the retirement budget. So you have to bring them back on course. That's what we get paid to do. We tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. I suppose that's a little bit of a difference with us look, here's the reality, guys. Numbers don't lie. Here's where you're going. You got to make some adjustments here, or, maybe we need to have a discussion if we're a good fit.
News like that, though, I'd rather hear it early. I'd rather know it ahead of time rather than it smack me in the face later when the reality of not having that plan and not having that kind of guidance and that very sobering conversation would have benefited me earlier on. That is something that I would rather have early and know rather than see the reality later, Chris.
Yeah, you're correct, Peter. And, if we had if we have folks that are just getting ready to retire right now, one of their biggest risks is the sequence of returns of the stock market. The people that have been retiring have actually had a pretty good run in the stock market here. We can take out March of 2020, but let's be honest, we've blown by that, in a short amount of time anyway. But if we had like a 2000, a 2001, a 2002, and doesn't even have to be that severe, but just a 2 or a 3 year long recession of some negative returns in the market, man, that's an eye opener for a lot of folks who, let's be honest, everybody's a little greedy right now.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of a student of the game, so to speak, in doing these programs, Chris, and I study the stock market. I look back at its past history. It's interesting. In the last 100 years, there have been 16 different bear markets, and a bear market is quantified by a 20% drop in the market indices or more. And there have been 16 of those over the last 100 years. We have not really seen one recently except for COVID. And the snap back from COVID was much quicker than every other bear market before it because it wasn't really an economic event. It was a healthcare event.
Yeah, that's a good perspective on it. That led to an economic event that the federal government came in and really backed everything very early, something they learned from the 2008 financial crisis. And, I was teaching a class here, as you know, I do some retirement planning classes. And we've got a couple up and coming here at the BGSU Firelands campus as well here. And I know you're running some spots on those for us. And we were talking about that, most of the investors today, all they remember is the 2008 financial crisis, because that was the one that was most recent. And then we could say the COVID crisis, if you will. You want to call March of 2020 a crisis. And, but a lot of people have really forgotten the last real recession, the 2000, 2001, 2002. What was that? 926 days, I think. And God, look what happened to the NASDAQ. You talk about wiping out a lot of wealth for a very long time. The recovery of that was more than 10 years to get back to where we were, and much longer for that than the NASDAQ. And those are the things you have to be mentally prepared for so you can mitigate that kind of risk.
And we've got to be mindful that those kind of events, they can and they do happen. That was not isolated. That was just the most recent long stretch and period of time where the market had some good returns. That was a decade where there were two different periods of 100% return in the market. It just happened that they fell right after two 50% losses, which means it's a break even for more than a decade of time. And if you're withdrawing during that period, it will make your retirement trajectory look a little different. So let's make sure that we are prepared, that we've got a plan in place. Let's consider Murphy's Law during the planning process, kind of assume the worst and be prepared for it on paper so that we can go out and live with confidence, have more enjoyment, knowing that we've prepared and we're still okay, even if those kind of scenarios happen. That's the general planning process that should happen with any planning matter financially. And Chris Mcintire takes that approach, helps you define your goals, work the plan to achieve your goals, spot check the assumptions that your plan is based on, make sure that you are okay with them and that you will be okay if some worst case scenarios happen or some of those assumptions don't hold true. That is so important. Understanding the risks that you're taking, the fees that you're paying, the taxes that you'd be liable for. And today on the program, talking about how to retire early, or when you are on your timeline, retire with confidence with Chris Mcintire. If you'd like to take him up on the opportunity for that complimentary review and strategy session, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194, and the BGSU Firelands Prepare retirement classes coming up November 30th and December 7th. These are Tuesday only sessions, 6 to 9 p.m., and well worth the time if you are interested in bettering, improving your financial future, or remaining confident throughout your financial future. If you'd like to attend or get more information, call that number, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. Chris, talking about that changing of lifestyle in retirement, in order to avoid that, we could start saving early. That would be a good thing. And then the government actually allows us a pretty good catch-up opportunity to really supercharge our retirement savings in the last several years of our working career. That's another great way to get more prepared and possibly retire a little earlier.
Yeah, it sure is. I have some wonderful clients here in the area, and the wife is getting ready to retire about another 18 months or so to go. We recently had a kind of a review, and she said, I'm only bringing home about $100 a week because I'm putting everything I can into my 401k. And she said, I think that'll really help us because, once I retire, my full retirement age for Social Security isn't until like 66 and 6 months. So she said, we're kind of used to me not really bringing anything home for the spending. So we should be able to transition into that pretty easily. I'm like, well, that's a wonderful avenue. She over the age of 50, obviously. So you can, contribute much more into your 401k, another $1,000 into your IRA over the normal thresholds. And, they have made a lot of provisions and a lot of, incentives, if you will, to contribute more money to retirement accounts because they understand that millions of Americans face a retirement shortfall. So they're allowing us to put more and more money away for retirement. And for many of you, that helps your tax situation as well for the current year anyway.
Indeed. And in fact, twofold, I see the benefits there, Chris. One, obviously getting more saved in those retirement accounts, building up that nest egg as much as possible. But on the other side, while we are ramping up, actually living off of less. If more is going to those retirement accounts, that means we're bringing less home. As you just indicated, we're getting used to living a lifestyle there that that is more conducive to making that money last as long as possible in retirement and gearing up for that transition. So again, ladies and gentlemen, talk these things through, and Chris Mcintire can help you spot and identify opportunities to save more, to do more with those dollars, to be more efficient, to get to keep more of them, to understand the risks that you're taking with them and the fees that you're paying, how to set them up and structure them, the order of operations to create that retirement income. That's mapping out the written income plan. That's all part of the process there at Mcintire Retirement Services. Give a call, 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. And Chris, the job of planning is really never done. It's never set it and forget it, and it's complete. Meeting regularly with a financial advisor, a good perspective and guidance, a qualified, experienced professional is going to continue to pay off in benefits throughout retirement as well.
Yeah, Peter. And, we practice and preach very well diversified portfolios structured around your risk tolerance with some tactical approaches, some strategic approaches in there as well, a little bit more of an active management role with pieces. And, we're completely independent. We adhere to the fiduciary responsibility we have, very strong advocates for safe money in retirement, and also having your growth buckets as well. And, things are going to happen that are unexpected. The market can change quickly. And that's why you want to have a safe money strategy that you can fall back onto to let your risk money recover. And that should certainly allow you to get some peace of mind, avoid making emotional decisions. Make sure you're talking with your attorney if you have one, and get on all your estate planning documents up to date, the powers of attorney, wills, if you need trust, those types of things. You're going to need a relationship with an advisor or a tax accountant, somebody to help put together the tax piece of all this money that's typically in a 401k that has never been taxed. And, do you do Roth IRA conversions? We've done more of them this year than ever before. And, Peter, you and I have been talking about this for years. And thankfully, we're probably getting the message out there to have people look. Tax planning is as important as, retirement savings, if you will. Being able to keep the most of what you can of what you spent an entire working career trying to create.
And I can't emphasize that point enough, Chris. If we are only hearing about the investment rate of return and not receiving guidance and advice proactively on how to keep as much of that as possible on the tax side of things, then we are missing half the story. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have not had that conversation, you owe it to yourself to give Chris Mcintire a call and understand the opportunities that we have available to us today to keep more of our money, to keep more of your retirement accounts, and to be more efficient, pay less in taxes, not only this year, but every year throughout your retirement future. Pick up the phone and give a call, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. And Chris, that actually makes a nice segue here, because the second part of the program, we were going to talk about some costly mistakes. Overlooking tax planning, certainly one of them. Another couple, investing blindly and making investment decisions based on emotion. And when I hear those two, I'm thinking cryptocurrency all day, and this crazy stock market that people are just exuberant about and have sort of forgotten the risk that's involved in either one of those.
Yeah. And crypto, it's certainly, gaining a lot of traction here. And, is it here to stay? And, I've got a couple of clients that got in early and have hit some home runs on it. And, even our investment platform, Peter, we've got a crypto currency portfolio, or, it's more than just cryptocurrency. Some of the companies that are in there that support blockchain technology are also in there, because there's so much more room going in that space. It can be an incredibly volatile space. So, we would advocate for, look, just some, little resources over there, not the bulk of your portfolio. You got to be very careful trying to swing for home runs. And, it's okay to add some, we call them satellites, as you know, Peter, it's a little satellite positions for some long-term speculative growth. But if that doesn't work out, it's not going to disrupt your overall retirement plan. So you are right. People are greedy and they have the fear of missing out. By the time they want to get into it, the opportunity is mainly already presented itself.
Yeah. Well, again, costly mistakes. You want to avoid these as you are ramping up, especially in retirement or immediately before retirement. Maybe we make some mistakes with our money and investing younger, earlier on in our career, and we've got the time to recuperate. But retirement is not the time that you want to learn from your own mistakes. So the guidance of a qualified, experienced professional certainly can pay off in measurable benefits. And Chris Mcintire is here for you, ladies and gentlemen. With if you are curious about cryptocurrency and maybe would like to see what a small portion looks like in the overall portfolio, access to some tools there at Mcintire Retirement Services, and could certainly discuss those with you, or any other financial strategy and tool. Chris has access to the spectrum of the financial world, and most importantly, a fiduciary responsibility to put his clients' best interest first when making financial recommendations. And if you'd like to experience what that makes as a difference for your outcome and the advice that you're receiving, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-868-1194, 800-868-1194. He also does offer some educational opportunities at BGSU, Firelands Prepare Retirement classes. Those are coming up November 30th, December 7th, still time to register. They are a 2 Tuesday class, 6 to 9 p.m. You come, you and your spouse come, you sit down together, even invite maybe a couple friends to come along with you. It'll be a great learning opportunity to hear from Chris more on many of the risks that we face in retirement, how to avoid some of these costly mistakes. If you'd like more information, give a call to that number, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. Chris, just a moment ago, you actually mentioned a safe money strategy. Now, one of the costly mistakes is becoming too conservative with investments nearing retirement. Simply moving everything to a money market or a stable value, or sticking a ton of your retirement savings in a bank earning nothing, is not a safe money strategy, and may be this costly mistake, becoming too conservative with retirement dollars too early.
Yeah. And, not to discount having an emergency fund that can get you through a couple of months at the bank, but obviously not going too heavy in that. And even the bond market right now, Peter, certainly got enough risk in it. In fact, about mid-October, I was looking on Yahoo Finance at 20-year treasury bonds, and they were negative 9% for the year.
Wow.
Okay? Because that's part of that interest rate risk that's out there. Longer term bonds can have higher risk with duration, if you will. So again, the traditional fixed income piece, that's the traditional bond market, is not what we call a safe money strategy, especially going into what could be a rising interest rate environment. It could certainly fraught with some different types of interest rate risk and duration risk, if you will. You need to talk to us, guys. We have access to different types of investment vehicles that you're not going to find on a Fidelity platform or Vanguard platform. That's that stock bond mutual fund, traditional Wall Street piece. You need to look on the independent side and access to things that we have that you certainly probably do not.
Chris Mcintire here is your resource. Northwestern Ohio, rely on Mcintire Retirement Services each and every day for advice, guidance on how to handle and structure the plans and the investments and the retirement accounts for a more confident, stable, and secure financial future. We are ramping up toward the major holiday season, and this year, Chris, may look and feel a little different than previous years, but we still have a lot to be thankful for. We can reflect on that, and we are always appreciative of the guidance that you provide here on the program, the reminder that we do need to be smart with our money. We need to make good decisions, and your perspective on that is always appreciated.
Hey, my pleasure, Peter. Good to chat with you. Good to chat with everybody out there today. Be safe, and we'll see you here. I think we'll do a Thanksgiving show for you as well next weekend, guys.
Yeah, we got something great in store for you there. We'll talk to you next weekend here on Your Game Plan for Retirement. Remember, you can always give Chris Mcintire a call, 800-868-1194. Also, the educational opportunity at the Prepare retirement classes at BGSU Firelands College coming up next week, Tuesday, the 30th, December the 7th, from 6 to 9 p.m. Give a call to register for that, 800-868-1194. That's 800-868-1194. Chris, again, we appreciate the time. Thank you for being the resource.
My pleasure, folks. Be safe, everybody. Thank you.
Visit McIntyreRetirementServices.com for many additional valuable resources, including other great episodes of Game Plan for Retirement with Chris Mcintire. Be sure to subscribe.
The content of this radio show is provided for informational purposes only and is not a solicitation or recommendation of any investment strategy. You are encouraged to seek investment, tax, or legal advice from an independent professional advisor. Any investments and/or investment strategies mentioned involve risk, including the possible loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, a registered investment advisor.
Fiduciary duty extends solely to investment advisory advice and does not extend to other activities such as insurance or broker-dealer services. Advisory clients are charged a quarterly fee for assets under management, while insurance products pay a commission, which may result in a conflict of interest regarding compensation.
Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Indexed or fixed annuities are not designed for short-term investments and may be subject to caps, restrictions, fees, and surrender charges as described in the annuity contract.